We the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money and the power. Never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs. Support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees. Triple 10. 3 PhDs. Now we on the CNN. DBTV. Let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear. Half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I hope you guys are having a good day. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, the Black Business School. And I want to say hello and good morning and all that other good stuff. And I'm going to get set up here on the computer so that we can have a good conversation. We're going to have an intelligent Black discussion about a really important issue. The issue has to do with relationships. You know, relationships is something that I talk about periodically on the platform because people don't understand the strong linkage between relationships and investing. If you invest in the wrong people, then it doesn't matter if you invested in the right financial assets. It's also about how you invest in the right human assets. And so, anyway, do me a favor as you come in, please hit the thumbs up button, please hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. Also, welcome to drvoicetv.com. This is the home for intelligent Black people. So if you're Black and intelligent, then throw your hands up. Let me know who you are. Let me know that you're real. Let me know that you're smart. I'm getting us set up here and getting us started. I got to hit a couple buttons usually in order to start the podcast. So anyway, also shout out your city. Let me know what city you're from. I'm sitting here in still quarantined in Chicago. So that's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. Who you have to be quarantined with is a big deal. If you're quarantined with an asshole, I apologize. I feel for you. You know, my heart goes out to you. Anyway. So I was thinking about this piece that was shared by my friend Ro L. Catino. I think that's how you pronounce her name. Let me make sure I get it right. And Ro put up this piece about relationships, and Ro has a pretty strong opinion about Black people, particularly Black men and Black women. Those are Black people. And I'm going to read this article to you guys as we get started, so you can kind of see where all this is coming from. So I'm reading here, and I'm going to pull up Ro's Facebook page when it comes up. And so basically what she was talking about, what's going on, TZ Frank and Space Dawn Inc., that title. That's funny. Yeah, cool, Keezy. It was what came to mind this morning. So yeah, the article basically talked about, you know, sort of these relationships we have and some of the relationship challenges that I hear from men. Now, don't get me wrong. I did a podcast last week about women's issues that I've heard and how men, you know, who aren't stepping up need to step up. You know, we can't say that men aren't stepping up, but the men who aren't stepping up need to step up. And so anyway, so in Ro's article, which you can actually, if you look her up on Facebook, it's Ro L. I got to look up her last name because I can't pull it up on my Facebook right now. But you can actually see where the inspiration came for this whole topic of conversation. And so what I want to do is give you a list of 8 ways to know. This is really for the fellas, but also the ladies can learn from this too. There's 8 ways to know if you're dating or marrying a female predator. 8 ways to know if you're dating or marrying a female predator. Now I want to explain what is a female predator. A female predator is not usually somebody who's gonna like beat you or rape you. Women don't beat, women don't typically rape. It may happen every now and then, but it doesn't happen very often. A female predator is somebody who will prey on a man in other ways. Maybe she's emasculating, you know, you dumb motherfucker, fuck you, motherfucker, you ain't shit, motherfucker, no dumbass, these dumbass niggas, right? That's female predatory behavior. She might also, if she's unhappy with you, she might beat you down, try to beat you in other ways, right? She might go out and lie about you and say, oh, he ain't shit, he's an abuser, he's a bad person, he's this, he's that, even if it's not true. Now, if it is true, that's a different conversation, but sometimes it's not true. And I've seen guys have their reputations ruined by somebody that just decides she's mad, she's gonna go out and just say a bunch of stuff that ain't true. The predator, they might prey on you in terms of taking all your money. If you get a divorce, you get somebody that's mad at you because she feels that you let her down. So she's like, well, I'm gonna take all this motherfucker's money, right? It's a person that you used to love, but now you want to destroy that person. Well, Roe writes a really good article about that, where she actually basically says that that mindset is something that African American women, and this is a Black woman saying this, she says that's a mindset that African American women have to watch out for. You know, this idea that because a man was not perfect, you now think that he should be destroyed, or you want him to slip on the banana peel, or you want him to fail, or you're going to become an enemy to him, a greater enemy than the white man. Do you follow what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? Give me a yes or no if you've ever seen this kind of behavior from anybody. Now, again, last week I talked about the men, and I went in on the men, so don't think this is an anti-woman conversation. We talked about the men pretty heavily last week, but now we're talking about the women, and we're defending the men, that the good men. I can't defend the bad men, but we're defending the men who want to be good men. So here are 8 ways to know if you might be dating a female predator. So this is me going into Uncle Boyce mode. I talk about relationship stuff because the biggest investment you ever make in your life is your relationship. If you choose the wrong partner, then it won't matter if you choose the right financial assets, because you've chosen the wrong human assets in your life. So I talk about relationships because relationships are everything when it comes to business, when it comes to money, when it comes to wealth. Without family, you can't build wealth most of the time. It's very difficult to do. So here's some signs that you might be dating a female predator. 1, if she is very vindictive. If she's the kind of person that says, oh, we're cool, I think you're wonderful, and I love you, I'm gonna love you forever. But then when you disappoint her, it's like, oh, I want to kill that motherfucker. That motherfucker ain't shit. I want to destroy his ass. And that I hate that nigga, right? If somebody's like that, like those people that are flip-floppy, one minute they think, some guy's the greatest thing in the world, and the next minute they think he's like the worst demon imaginable. That kind of says that person might have a vindictive spirit, that when they get pissed off, it's like, in a way, it's a little bit like dating a killer. A killer can be nice. Like, most people on death row who've murdered somebody have the capacity to be very good people, as long as you don't piss them off, right? Most killers have been nice to people until you cross them, right? So you have people like that, people that everybody, if you ask everybody, like, I want to ask you guys a question. How many of you see yourself as a nice person? How many of you, give me a yes or no in the chat. How many of you see yourself as a nice person? If I say, are you a nice person? Or yes, or give me a yes or no. If you do you see yourself as a nice person? And I'm gonna predict the answer as you guys are putting in there. I believe that most people see themselves as good people. Even most killers, don't see themselves as bad people. They see themselves as good people who got fucked with, right? Well, I only had to kill the motherfucker because of that, right? But here's the thing. When people get angry, everybody might feel the instinct to kill. I've felt it. Everybody feels it. But there's a difference between somebody who is going to feel it and not act on it, and somebody who actually does it. So vindictive people, and there's different ways you can try to kill or harm another person. It doesn't have to just be punching them out or shooting them. It could be like, I'm going to kill you financially, or I'm going to kill you reputationally, or I'm going to kill you emotionally. And a lot of, when you talk about really hurt people, again, we're talking about women today. We talked about men last week. We'll talk about men again as well, because you guys know how I feel about the importance of strong men in our community. And some of you guys, some of us, I think, can use a little help. How about that? But you get some women that murder their sons when they're young. They murder their manhood. They murder them emotionally. They murder them. You dumb motherfucker, get your stupid ass up. You dumb just like your fucking daddy, right? That type of thing. So that vindictive behavior, like, I'm gonna get revenge on that person because they hurt me. That's what, if you catch that in conversation, like if she's talking about her ex and really, really thinks he's like the devil and says it about every ex and is really going out of her way to destroy him and cut his balls off, you need to watch that behavior very carefully, because that's exactly how she's going to treat you if she falls out with you. One thing I learned over time when I achieved more OG status was I started paying attention to people, not by how they treat their friends, but how they treat their worst enemy. When I see how you treat your worst enemy tells me how you're going to deal with me if you're unhappy with me, or if we ever fall out or have a dispute. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, please, right now. Everybody right now, please hit the thumbs up button, hit the share, hit the subscribe button. So anyway, next thing, number 2. Here's another sign that you might be dating a female predator. If the person's obsessive, not just vindictive, but also obsessive, like obsessively pursuing somebody they feel that hurt them, or obsessively talking about, you know, somebody who disappointed them. What that speaks to me, that speaks to a deeper issue. That speaks to somebody who actually, they seem to be obsessed with that friend who was, you know, talking shit about them, or that ex-boyfriend who hurt them, or really they're obsessed with their daddy 9 times out of 10. 9 times out of 10, the person exhibits excessive behavior because they've been mad at their daddy since they were 5. And so ultimately, sorry about that. Thank you, Mark, for telling me you couldn't hear me on Instagram. I apologize. So ultimately, let me know if you can hear me. Give me a yes or no if you can hear me and see me clearly. If you can hear me and see me clearly, give me a yes or no. So ultimately, that obsessive behavior speaks to a deeper issue that hasn't been dealt with. 3, another sign that you might potentially be dating a female predator, or an angry dude, as I call it, but an angry dude with a vagina, is that the person has a really shallow level of trust for anything or anybody. If she doesn't know how to trust, then she should not be in a relationship. She should go get a vibrator and just stay at home. Seriously, she needs to quarantine herself so she does not infect other people with whatever virus she's allowed to exist in her spirit. And so seriously, if you can't trust, you shouldn't be in a relationship. And trust doesn't just mean I'm gonna trust you until you fuck up, or I'm gonna trust you until you make one little mistake, or I'm gonna trust you until you trigger me. That's not real trust. Trust means that you can be triggered and you're still gonna ride or die with the person that you with. You know, trust means that I don't need to know everything to know that I'm gonna be good most of the time. Like, I'm gonna be fine. Like, you know, like for example, when I explained to Alicia, I said, you know, I really trust you. And I said, I need you to understand what trust means for me. Trust to me does not mean that I know the answer to every question that I have in my head. Trust to me does not mean I always know where you're at and what you're doing. Trust to me does not mean that you have to answer every question I ask you. Trust to me does not mean I'm going to go through your phone and make sure that nothing else is happening. Trust means that in general, I believe that no matter what you're doing, you're going to probably be looking out for my best interest, even if you make a mistake. You know, trust to me means that I don't need to know the answer to every question. Maybe you're not answering the question because you don't feel quite comfortable answering that question, and I'm okay with that. Maybe when you're comfortable, you can answer. Maybe you'll never be comfortable. Or maybe you even lied to me, and you lied to me for a good reason. Maybe you lied because you just felt like it wasn't something you wanted to discuss. Or maybe you lied because you felt like it would hurt my feelings. I don't know. And I'm not saying that it's okay. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you should adopt my degree of trust or my type of trust. It took me a long time to get to that level of trust. Maybe 20 years ago, I would have said trust means that if I ask a question and she don't want to answer it, then I need to be suspicious because she's probably lying to me. No, but I got to the point where I was like, I can't control a person. I can't own a person. All I can do is I can tell instantly. I've always had a radar. I might not be able to tell every single thing that's going on in a woman's life, because women got all kinds of shit going on. They always act like men are the only ones who got shit going on. No, women got secrets in the fucking closet like you would not believe. Because think about this. Every time a man's out doing crazy dirt, he's always with a woman. He's always with some woman who ain't telling nobody what she just did with you. Right? Seriously, am I right or am I right? Seriously, like we believe that men are the ones who got all the extra shit going on. Men can't even organize their bullshit the way women can organize their bullshit. Men are dogs, women are cats. You know, cats are clean and neat and organized, and dogs just shit all over the place, and you just know what the dog been doing. You come home, you know the dog broke into the chocolate because he got chocolate all over his face and everything. Seriously, like men are dogs, women are cats. Cats are nice and neat and, you know, clean everything up and stay. Their shit, you don't really smell cat shit. Like, they'll bury the shit, you know, but cat shit too. Cats and dogs both shit. So I'm sorry, over time, you know, especially after many years of actually, you know, just being really seeing interesting things. How about that? You know, like being hit on by married women, like, and being like, wait, I thought you had a husband, right? No, things like that kind of let me know, like, men and women both got their shit. So here's my thing. I never believed that, you know, when a woman acts like she has no shit, I don't really honestly know if I believe that or not. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I can't tell how much shit you have, what the shit looks like, where the shit's located. But I can tell in an instant whether a woman loves me or not. I can tell in an instant. A lot of you can do that as well. Like, You could tell in a second if a woman's into you or not into you by how she looks at you, how she responds to you, how quickly she answers the phone, how she reacts when you touch her, whatever. So I can always tell if she's not into me anymore or if I've lost her, right? So as long as I know I still got you, then I'm not going to strangle myself and drive myself crazy trying to find out every little secret thing that might be going through your mind or everything you might have ever done or everything that you might be possibly doing. Maybe that makes me stupid. I don't know. But personally, I think that if we're looking for perfection in relationships, then you probably should not get married at all ever, because you're not gonna, it's not gonna last. Another sign that you might be dating a female predator, please hit that thumbs up button. And by the way, those of you on Instagram that are watching, what's up? My Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins. You can follow me on Instagram at The Real Boyce Watkins. My Twitter is Dr. Boyce Watkins 1, Dr. Boyce Watkins 1. And my Instagram and Twitter are pretty controversial. So I personally think it makes for a better conversation. But then again, not everybody agrees with me. Number 4, if she never apologizes. A person who never apologizes, in my opinion, is a person who's incapable of seeing their own flaws, who's incapable of seeing any imperfections that they may have or any mistakes that they've ever made. And it's easy for a person to fall into that mindset when they're dealing with a black man, because society gives them a license to believe that black women are perfect and black men are fundamentally flawed. You know, I've seen numerous TV shows on TV where I remember Steve Harvey and Sherry Shepherd hosted a show where the whole topic of the show was why black women can't find good men. And the whole time they just complained about black men the entire time. Now, what's fascinating is that if you go look at Sherry Shepherd's dating history, if you look at the choices Sherry Shepherd has made, the fact, I think she's been married 2-3 times, and she went and with her husband, she went and had a surrogate baby and then abandoned the baby because she didn't want to, you know, she didn't want to take care of the baby anymore because the marriage wasn't working. You could challenge that, like you could critique that, right? You could, you know, say, well, hey, wait a minute, you know, you're saying black men, the black men ain't right, but something ain't right with you. So a lot of times we have situations where people are licensed to never look at their own shit because they can make the black man the ultimate scapegoat. The black man actually is the biggest scapegoat in America because most problems that we have in our society, whether it's crime or unethical behavior, whatever, they tend to kind of dump that onto black men. Black men are seen as the scariest men in the country. And so basically there are some black women, if they don't want to deal with their own shit, that can just sit there with a bunch of other women and say, black men are garbage because of this and this and this and this and this. And not once will there come up any conversation about how they can improve as people as well. Because we can all improve, right? We can all improve. You know, but what happens is, and I've noticed this, you'll have women from other countries like Nomalanga Mushali Moses and Ro, let me find her last name, Ro Elori Kutno. I put her article on my Facebook page, so find my personal Facebook page and you can find it. And they actually, you know, have a different point of view. And they're the ones who actually come in and they say, no, actually, the black men have issues, but the black women got issues too. Y'all all got issues because you're all descendants of slaves. And that pisses people off. People get mad because they're not used to hearing that. But I think everybody needs to hear that because we all need to be self-reflective. So if a person never apologizes, that's a form of bullying behavior. And I had that issue in a relationship where I was like, how come we've had, you know, in all the last 50 arguments we've had, I've been the one to apologize to bring us back to the table, and you never apologized once. And I was like, I'm starting to feel a little bit punked right here, so I think I'm gonna back away from this. This does not seem fair. The next one, this is related to number 4. Actually, number 5 is if the person's always the victim. Like if they describe every bad relationship, every bad situation, everything that happens with you, and they always see themselves as a victim, be careful, because that's what abusers do. If you talk to men who beat women, those men will never, ever, almost never tell you that that it was their fault and they did something wrong. Most of the time, their admission of whatever they did comes with a justification or an explanation. Like, well, I wouldn't have done this if she hadn't have done that, right? And so when you look at females who are predators, who are abusers, again, they slip under the radar because they're not the types that are going to go get a gun or a baseball bat and beat somebody's ass. That's masculine behavior. Women don't typically do things like that on average. Some women do, most women don't. But when they come back and they're destroying a man, or you're like, wait a minute, you used to love this guy. He used to be the apple of your eye. Now you want to see him fail. Now you want to see him locked up. Now you want to see him dead. You know, now mind you, if he really did some horrible shit, then that's a different story. But a lot of times it's just because she's hurt emotionally. He hurt my feelings. Maybe he cheated on me, or maybe he let me down, or maybe he didn't come through for me. I've always thought that was a huge contradiction. To me, that shows a lack of maturity. When you're telling me when it's 2016 and you're telling me that you love him to death and he can trust you on your word on that, but in 2017 you're telling me you want to destroy him. That tells me you never really loved him in the first place. Because if you really loved him, then you would understand what the commitment of love actually means. Commitment does not mean I'm down with you until you piss me off. Commitment means I'm down with you. Like, like I'm gonna have to be pushed to the point of feeling like Boo Boo the Fool before I walk away. And even then, I'm not gonna walk away in an effort to destroy you. I'm just gonna distance myself because maybe I need to do that for my own mental health, but I'm not gonna go out and destroy you. Because when I go out here and I'm trying to convince my friends that the person I was madly in love with a year ago is now the devil, my friends are gonna look at me like I'm stupid. Anybody who's, or at least me, I'm logical. I connect the dots. I see time in a broad space. Like I look at, clumps of time, and I look at consistency and behavior. So if you're calling me and telling me that the guy that you were madly in love with is the devil now, that makes me actually look at you in a strange way, because I'm like, well, why would you date the devil? Oh, wait, why did you spend 10 hours last year telling me that the devil was a wonderful guy? Maybe you didn't do your homework. Maybe you didn't do your research. Maybe you're just mad right now and he was the same guy all along. You're just starting to see it from different points of view. So same thing is true with men too, though. Same thing is true with men. If a man is bashing the shit out of his baby mama, I encourage you, men, understand that, like, when you're bashing your baby mama and talking about how shitty of a person she is, you have to be real careful about that, because you're really talking about yourself too. You're also talking about you. When you talk about her, you're talking about the mother of your child, and you're talking about yourself. So a better way to handle that might be to say, God, like for example, I have a baby mama, if you want to call it that, and it wasn't a perfect fit for me. I will confess to that, right? But if you ask me about her, do I have issues? Absolutely. Do I have things I could say where I could probably do a little cussing in the middle? Probably. But if you ask me about her, I'm gonna either say, yeah, we don't see eye to eye, but I appreciate the fact she gave birth to my child. Or you're gonna hear me say, woo, buddy, I learned from that experience. I learned I need to be smarter. I need to pick better. I need to pick something that's a better fit for me. You're not gonna hear me sit all day railing about what kind of person she is, because that's a reflection on myself. You think you're hitting somebody else, but really you're punching yourself in the face. A sixth sign that you might be dating a dude with a vagina is really hyper masculine behavior, where basically the person is doesn't understand anything about what it even means to be feminine. Maybe because she never learned that. Maybe she grew up watching her mother like lift weights and take out the garbage and fix the roof and everything, which is fine. It's fine because it shows, a certain degree of capability. But I don't think that masculine men and masculine women typically do well in relationships, because you're always fighting for space. You're fighting for air. Masculine dudes in the same space are almost always going to fight. If you have two dudes, two alpha males in the same space, they're going to fight. Kobe Bryant, when they asked Kobe Bryant, like, what happened with you and Shaq? Y'all had a great team. How'd you break up? He said, because it's hard to have two alpha males on the same team, and that's why we had to go our own ways, because we both had to lead our own teams. So a lot of times, if you have a really hyper masculine woman and a masculine man in the same relationship, they might be able to get together and fuck each other. They might be able to be homeboys, but they're not going to be able to be husband and wife, because I don't believe husband and wife relationships work that way. Now, maybe if y'all want to, but again, you can be buddies, bros, like, what's up, dog? Let's get together and watch the game and have some sex after, or whatever. Like, if you're doing that, that's fine. But I don't think that I'm joking about the mother lifted weights. I'm playing. Like there's nothing masked. Let me just take that part back. I know I might confuse y'all with that, but you know what I'm talking about. Like if a woman grew up never understanding the differential roles between a male and a female and how they connect, how they complement each other, then I don't know if that person's always going to fit into a relationship. The times I've seen it work is when maybe she gets a feminized man, so that she then takes the lead and he gets to have his mother all over again. So if you have two kids that grew up, neither one of them had a father around, Both of them had the mom, watch the mama kind of dominate. The girl grows up and says, I'm gonna dominate like my mama. And the boy grows up and says, I'm gonna let my woman dominate because I need a new mama anyway. So it then works out, right? And but again, it's like a car. If you have two people grabbing the steering wheel, the car is usually going to crash. It's just usually not going to work. Doesn't mean it can't work, but hyper masculine behavior, aggressive behavior, stuff like that, hyper aggressive, not assertive, but aggressive behavior, usually is a sign that you might be dealing with a predator, because one of the unfortunate side effects of masculinity is, this behavior. Like, if you make me mad, I'm gonna fight you. I'm gonna kick your ass. I'm gonna cut you up. No, motherfucker, you ain't shit, motherfucker. Like that. Those are like signs of like aggressive masculine behavior. Go look, find a woman that you know who is really, really aggressive, who's like, that nigga ain't shit. Fuck that nigga. That nigga, blah, blah, blah. And I want you to go look at her relationships, and I want you to see how many relationships she's even had that have lasted more than a year with a man. Chances are she's maybe got, she's a single mom with a bunch of kids or whatever, because every time a man came around, the fantasy would last, right? The fantasy and the high of the first 6 months. The first 6 months of a relationship, you're basically like a person on cocaine. You're the drug is called phenylethylamine, and there's another one called standard dopamine that's being injected into your brain. So you're really, really high, really, really feeling good. So you have lots of sex and it's all fun and you think it's gonna be perfect. Then about 8-9 months in, that's when reality starts to set in, and that's when you start seeing those people have relationship problems, and the relationships end up being chopped off by the end of the year. A lot of people will get pregnant and won't even be a couple on the day the baby's born. And that shows a lack of maturity, a lack of understanding of even the beginnings of what it even takes to make a relationship work. Relationships take a lot of patience, meaning that you got to put up with a lot of shit. So if you have a zero tolerance perspective on relationships, then don't do it. You should not have one. Because I watched my parents stay married for 45 years. And if they had a zero tolerance policy with each other, they would have gotten a divorce in 1976. Like, they wouldn't have made it out the damn 70s, man. Like, do you understand this? When people are like, oh, I got zero tolerance for BS. You can do that maybe in some other areas of your life. Like, maybe with your employees, you can do that. Like, I have people that come work for me. I can be like, I got a zero tolerance for BS. But with my business partners, I can't do that, because I know that they're going to come up short. They're going to make a mistake. Things are going to go bad. And my greater commitment has to be to the partnership. And that's another thing too. That's why relationships, marriage and business partnerships are so deeply connected. That's why I love talking about relationships, because it's all the same stuff as business. You don't ever start any kind of significant partnership without somebody who's equally yoked. Equally yoked. What does that mean? Equally yoked means that you have the desire and ability to even prove through your track record that you're going to be able to stick through the tough times. I mean, really stick through the tough times. If you start a partnership, whether it's a business or a marriage, with somebody who ain't never been through no shit, ain't never stuck to no shit, ain't never, stood the rain for long periods of time, then you might as well go ahead and write your motherfucking divorce papers on day one. You go ahead and just go see your divorce lawyer in the beginning of the relationship, because the shit ain't gonna last. Like when New Edition used to sing, tell me, baby, can you stand the rain? Like that was very meaningful. That was a great metaphor for life. Don't have your ride or die be somebody that can't stand a little bit of volatility, because if they can't, then it's fine. Just don't get married. Do something else. Just have sex for about 6 months and then move on to the next one. Maybe you'll luck out and won't ever catch the coronavirus from all the chicks you bang, and that's fine. I ain't judging. Do you? But you want to be a person that has resilience, and you want to be around somebody that has an equal amount of resilience. That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean when I say equally yoked. Equally yoked means you both have the same level of commitment, so that nobody gets frustrated or feels abandoned because one person gave up too easy. What else? Another sign that you might be dating a hyper-masculine dude with a vagina, if she has a lot of undiagnosed and untreated daddy issues. Doesn't mean that she didn't have a daddy. Most Black women don't have a daddy in the house. They might have a daddy in their life, but not in the house. And they may have male role models somewhere, but not in the house. Having a daddy in the house is very different from having a daddy outside the house. I will say that. But also having a daddy, period, is very different from having no daddy at all. And I would almost say that, that's something that has to be dealt with and treated if you're trying to adjust to a different culture. Doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. Doesn't mean that that person is without, is worthless. I'm not saying that at all. It just means that, if I've never, it's like, for example, when I decided to marry Alicia, here's what happened, right? I had lived by myself for over 20 years. For 20 years, I did not share my place with hardly anybody. My brother came to live with me, but that was it. I had basically, I could eat what I want. I could stay up as late as I wanted. I could go where I wanted, when I wanted. It was my life, my space, my everything. When I decided to marry her, suddenly I'm in a house with a woman and 3 kids. I had to adjust to that. I had to go through a process of deconstructing who I am and how I view the world, and figuring out what specific things I'm going to have to adjust to in order to get used to having so many other people in the house that are looking to me, for guidance or whatever it is that they look to me for, right? So the same thing is true for somebody who grew up in a household where you saw mama making all the decisions unilaterally, like a dictator, like Donald Trump wants to be a dictator. Some of our mamas were dictators. It was like whatever she said went, and that was it. There was you never saw a discussion between her and daddy to figure out what you were going to do next. You never saw her fold to daddy when daddy wanted to go left and she wanted to go right. You never saw daddy fold to her when she wanted to go right and he wanted to go left, right? I got a chance to see all of that, right? So watching my parents for 40 years negotiate with each other was invaluable in terms of preparing me for the negotiation that would come with having a woman in my house, right? Or me being in her house, or us being in our house, right? So what I would just say is, that the problem with the daddy issues is that if a person grew up their whole life seeing Black men as flawed until proven otherwise, what they have is that's a type of mental illness or a type of bias that you have that is almost a lot like the way cops view Black men on the street when they racially profile. When cops see Black men on the street, they know they're not looking at a white man. When cops see Black men on the street, they don't think they're dealing with a white female. When cops see Black men on the street, a whole list of stereotypes pile up in their head like this little database that's going to lead to their initial reaction to that Black man that they're not going to have with anybody else. Well, a lot of Black women have that same issue when it comes to Black men. A lot of Black women racially profile Black men, whether they want to admit to it or not. So what can happen is, and the profiling began with the daddy. The profile began when, like, I talked to one lady who said, I asked her, what do you, tell me about your relationship with your father. And she was actually LGBT, and she had a real issue with men, and she was very competitive with men. And I said, well, tell me about your relationship with your father. She said, well, I remember when I was 4 and telling my mother that I think my daddy's a bum. And so that was her first introduction to, or the first memory she ever had of her father. And that perception never changed for 30 years. So if you have a child who starts off by feeling fundamentally that their daddy's a bum, and your daddy is the first Black man that you ever met, first Black man you were ever supposed to trust, the first Black man you were ever supposed to be in love with, and you feel like he's a bum, then does it surprise you that she grew up as a 30-year-old who didn't want nothing to do with Black men on any level, right? Who's competitive with Black men and aggressive toward Black men, right? So ultimately, if just for the men, if you're picking a woman, like, ask her about her father. And if she has issues with her father, then you need to figure out if she's worked through that process. Maybe she's read a couple books, maybe she's got some therapy, maybe her previous relationships have all lasted for a long time, or whatever the case may be. Which leads to number 8. Number 8 is another sign that you may be dating a female predator, if you're not careful, is a lot of times people that have a predatory nature, or a nasty negative nature, or a destructive nature, or a vengeful nature, usually they have a string of dead relationships that occurred before you got there. And a string of ain't shit motherfuckers that they've dated one after the other, right? A string of guys that they hate more than anything now, but used to be madly in love with at one point, to the point where maybe they had a baby with them or whatever. But now it's like, I can't stand that motherfucker. If he comes in the room, I want to vomit, stuff like that. So I almost think of it like, and here's the thing, men we're stupid sometimes, like we'll we'll really be hearing these stories. And if you lay it out the right way, some people are really good at making themselves look like the victim. So if she lays it out the right way, you'll really be thinking like, wow, I'm glad she's dating me now because she's not dating a man who's going to hurt her like all the other men did, right? Like she's finally dating a good man. I'm going to be a good man because I'm going to show her that men can be good and men can be decent, right? But then guess what? Unfortunately, in many cases, she may have already written the end of the story before the story even begins. You know, her pre-existing experience is what we call in statistics. We call these Bayesian priors. In statistics, the term Bayesian priors basically means that before you even enter into a situation, the odds are stacked against you because you already have a bunch of preconceived notions of how the story is going to end. So that affects how you behave in the beginning, which ultimately causes the thing to happen at the end to be exactly what you thought it was going to be, right? So at the end of that relationship, after you spend your time being, you know, Captain Sable, what, you know, I'm talking about, you know, you basically end up, you know, with her saying something like, well, you're just like all the other men. You're just like all the other men who disappointed me. Does anybody remember that part in the movie, that old crappy Madam C.J. Walker movie they just did, where there was a part where, if you watched it, you'll see it. There's a part where Octavia Spencer says to her husband, after he apparently does something mean to her or whatever, she says, you know, well, you're just like every other man, right? And that right there says is more about her than it says about him, right? When somebody says, you know, so for example, if a woman lets you down and you're like, you're just like every other woman, you hate me like every other woman, or you hurt my feelings like every other woman, that says more about him than it says about her. So when somebody is typecasting an entire gender, you got to watch out for people like that because they're kind of looking for narratives that fit their pre-existing story, right? So that's really important too. So in a way, I think asking people about their previous relationships is a really important part of dating somebody. And if you see a pattern, like if every single relationship ended in disaster and tragedy with the house burning down, then, you know, there's a good chance you're going to be in that same situation unless something dramatically has shifted. So anyway, the article that I read that inspired me to do this conversation is from Ro Elori Cutno. It's on my Facebook page. Hit the thumbs up button. And basically what she wrote in this article, or actually, I'm not sure if she wrote it. And let me see. You know what? I hear what she says, by the ever wise Walada Muhammad. So I got to double check to see if Walada Muhammad wrote it or Ro Elori Cutno wrote it. Either way, Ro shared it. I put it on my page. It's on my Facebook page. So if you go to my Facebook page, my private page is public. So you can go there and read the article. And what it basically kind of says is that one perspective on, you know, dealing with your man, you know, for ladies is, you know, that she seems to feel that some African-American women, not all, you can't stereotype everybody, but some women have a very short fuse when it comes to, you know, giving up on their men or distrusting their man or thinking that their man ain't shit or, you know, demanding to take the wheel because you don't trust his leadership. And the thing about leadership is that leaders are not going to be perfect. You're going to have people that, you know, if you decide somebody's going to be the head of the household or the man of the household, he's not going to do everything perfect. And I don't think you get the best out of a man by putting him on pins and needles, having him feel that if he makes any little mistake, you're going to give up on him. Or if he makes any little mistake, you're going to berate the shit out of him to the point where he doesn't feel confident to move forward or do anything else, right? And that's something, you know, I mean, imagine if, like, Alicia's a great cook. So imagine if every time Alicia was cooking food, I was in there like, goddamn bitch, you didn't make the fucking macaroni right. You can't cook worth shit. Your cooking is so bad. This is the third time this year that you have messed up the dinner. The food's cold. It ain't got enough salt. What's wrong with you, right? If I did that, would she have confidence to cook for me? Would she have a desire to cook for me? Would she have a desire to be her best for me? No, she doesn't. You know, so again, not that this would apply in every area, but I will just tell you personally, I have a complete forgiveness policy on everything that she does. Everything she cooks in that kitchen is delicious, even if it's burnt. Even if it's burnt. It doesn't mean I'm a lie. Like, if it's burnt, I'll be like, you know, it's tasted a little bit better. You know, she might be like, it's terrible, I burned it. And I'll be like, yeah, but that's okay. You do it better next time, right? Like, I think just encouraging language is really important. And I think about this, and this is for ladies that want to understand men a little bit better. I just remember how good I used to feel when I was 11 or 12, and my mother would give me a compliment, or my mother would cheer for me, or tell me I did a good job, or whatever. That inspires you. That inspires the best out of a man. If you think that that nagging a man and berating him, and aggressively, like constantly being up his ass, makes him better, that's no, it doesn't. It makes him want to say fuck you. It makes the side chick look better because she's the one that's giving him all the encouragement at that point. So encouraging your partner is really important. I think this is just true for men and women too. Same thing with men. Like, you need to tell her she's beautiful, tell her she's great, tell her she's wonderful. Say good things. We all have complaints. We all have things that we're not happy about, but a person does not owe you a relationship. They do not have to be with you. And if you're dating somebody who is halfway decent, like if you're dating a man who's got some good qualities, that women would be attracted to, don't think that he has to be there. He has options, and he may start to notice those options. Same thing with women too. You're dating the finest girl in the room, and you're going to treat her like a dog. Well, there's a lot of other men that might want to be in your position. So you keep messing around, next thing you know, she'll be out of here. So that's my 2 cents. I'm sure this conversation offended somebody. Most of my conversations do, but it's okay. People self-eliminate from my channel, which makes me happy. I'm very happy when people leave the channel, because I want you to leave if this is not the place for you. There's no point in us wasting our time. And this was a discussion I had because God told me that having this conversation might help somebody, and it was meant in the most favorable, positive light. And also it's meant to basically point out problematic issues in our relationship. Not to say that anybody's irredeemable, but I will say this, for the men, I got to the point where I peep out a woman's disposition very early, whether I want to work with her or date her. Well, I have a woman now, so I'm not going to date anybody. But even when I was dating, if I would just watch, I would watch. I learned how to watch for the female predators, because we live in a world where there's this myth that all the predators are male. There's this myth that only men have the ability to do harm to their partners in relationships. And after sort of observing things, I realized that is not true. Think about it. Cardi B, did y'all a tremendous favor by shining a light on an entire underworld where there are women who sit around waiting to prey on men. They find trusting men who trust a big button and smile, and they drug those men, rob those men, set them up to be raped by trannies, and humiliate those men in a way that is incredibly, incredibly traumatic. If that was a black man saying that he does that's if a black man would ever went on Instagram and said that he was doing that to white women or any woman, he would be locked up immediately, right? So you have predators out here. And so I encourage you, if you're a good person, find you another good person to be with, but you got to take time to kind of observe, because it's a sneaky process. Predators, unfortunately, are good at masking themselves as very nice people. And then you find out when it's too late. So don't date a female predator. Find you a woman that deserves the love that you're going to give her, but make sure you match that love in return. That's really, really important. So anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, share, and subscribe button. Also, one of our movies actually is called The Black Love Blueprint. We actually we got a bunch of relationship therapists together to basically talk about what it takes to maintain good relationships, because we felt the community could use a good film like that. So actually, you can watch the film as part of our Love and Money program in the Black Business School, which is at theblackloveblueprint.com. That's theblackloveblueprint.com. So feel free to go check that out. And in fact, I'll change it where it's a membership program, but I'll change it where the first month is $1. So if you want to try it out and take a look, you can, because how you manage your relationship is a lot like how you manage a business. How you manage your family is like managing a business. If you manage that first business wrong, that family wrong, then all of the businesses will probably fail, because it's hard. You can't build success on top of extreme failure. It's very difficult to do. So they're all connected. They're all related. That's why I talk about all these things. So I'm out of here, guys. Thank you. Have a good day. It was wonderful talking to you, and I will see you soon. Be good. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV.